Welcome in to the Football Kingdom podcast. We are officially done with September and into October in the NFL season, which also means that we are about a quarter of the way into the season. Had some interesting matchups this weekend. Chiefs took on the Jets on Sunday Night Football, and this was a matchup that we really felt like the Kansas City Chiefs were going to go into New York and take care of business against the Aaron Rodgers-less New York Jets. And in a way, they did. The Chiefs got out of the game with a win, and they are 3-1. But Tyler, it was a pretty unconventional and weird win, which is a classic Chiefs staple at this point, where they just win games that are kind of weird. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. This was almost like a Freaky Friday situation where Patrick Mahomes and Zach Wilson switched bodies. So, Tyler, I would love to know what happened in this game on Sunday night.
I mean, you tell me. Especially as a Chiefs fan, it's weird. It was a very strange game. Yeah, where you were taking that to begin with is we thought, Chiefs are going to go in there, take care of business, and move on. This game felt huge. The crowd was insane. It was a huge sellout crowd. The whole Taylor Swift hype. It was electric. It felt like a much bigger game than it really had any business being. And I don't know, man. It was very strange because Mahomes. I went back and rewatched some throws, and all night it didn't really start at any time. Like the whole night, he was really just kind of lofting these passes up. He kept putting all these touch passes up there to be intercepted. So I don't know if that's a concern or if that was a game plan, because it's very odd. You go back and watch it. It's kind of strange because I've never seen him do that, but it was basically every throw. He just kept putting all this touch on him, and I don't know if that's a game plan or what, but yeah, Zach Wilson, that's another thing where, going back to the weirdness of this game and how the Chiefs always do this, like how do bad quarterbacks always just show up against the Chiefs? And we're not talking Patrick Mahomes era either. This is forever. Just bad, teams want to show up all of a sudden against us.
Yeah, Zach Wilson did indeed show up. He was 28 for 39, 245 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he looked, outside of the fumble where he took his eyes off of the snap, Zach Wilson looked really good. There's a lot that I think the Jets can take away from this game that are positive in a season that has been anything but that for them. So I hope that they're looking at this game. There's, moral victories aren't victories, but I hope that they're looking at this game and going, you know what? We were toe to toe with the defending Super Bowl champions. And to your point about Patrick Mahomes, I don't know what was going on with him either. Just, again, underthrows all night. The pass protection wasn't really there. I got to give credit to the Jets defense. We knew that they were good and they showed up. And just a very weird game. You had some very weird, bad, I'm just going to say it, not very good officiating by the crew. We can just talk about the face mask that occurred to give the Jets that safety on the Chiefs. And wasn't super familiar with that rule, but this is the one time that I was super glad to have a rules analyst on the broadcast. He said that the penalty has to happen, the face mask would have to happen inside of the end zone, and it, in fact, did not. It occurred on the 1, so it shouldn't have been a safety, but because it was a penalty, you can't review it and fix that. So the Jets were kind of just gifted 2 points right there. The other one was the horse collar that was not a horse collar. There was a few things that went wrong on that play. There was a holding. There should have been holding by the line. there also probably should have been a face mask call by the ball carrier on the on the horse collar penalty. So I don't really know what was going on, but not a good night by the officiating crew. All in all, Chiefs were able to come out of there with a victory. Not pretty, but good teams win ugly, and that's exactly what Kansas City did. They are, again, 3-1 a month into the season. So not much to complain about. The only hope that you have is that these receivers can really get it going. They don't have a receiver that, one, seems like they can get open, and two, seems like, Patrick Mahomes really has that kind of mesh with, outside of Travis Kelce, obviously. So while the defense continues to be a top 3, 4, 5 defense, you hope that a month from now, Tyler, you and I are talking about a wide receiver group that has finally come together. And if not, we are a month out from the trade deadline. You gotta think, are they gonna make a move to bring in a wide receiver to give this offense a jolt?
I think you go get Juju again. That's the Patriots aren't using him, so they could just pay off the terrible contract they paid him, and we'll take him over. But no, I think you're right. I hope you're right. I think that is what'll happen. Because I was gonna say, I mean, Isaiah Pacheco MVP for the second time this year. I mean, 20 attempts for 115 and a touch. The dude is angry run every time. I love this guy. It's just so much fun to watch this guy. And honestly, the whole running game, for the most part, I mean, that's the Chiefs, for it wasn't for that first quarter, the Chiefs may have been just embarrassed. I mean, Mahomes was 18 for 30 for 200. Like I really hope that it is just him and the receivers are just not, in sync yet. And the Jets just have a really good defense. And they just had a really good game plan. And we are going to talk about in a month, like, hey, that was, the start of the season. Things are looking great. Because I think Rashee Rice is a really good receiver. Got to work on the drops. And Andy Reid said last night that he's like, hey, it's we're still gonna give this guy the ball. Like typically he doesn't really say that in the past with other receivers. He's like, yeah, he's got to work on things. He's kind of singing a different tune with this guy. He really believes in him, so that's a good sign. I think that Tony came out and he had 2 catches, a really good first down catches, and yeah, I do. I think this team will in a month be just fine, and I honestly don't know where the Jets are going to be. I don't know what happened on Sunday night where, he completely turns it around. I don't know if that's just a complete one-off and we'll never see that guy again, or if he's finally getting confidence, because that will be huge for that team. I'm not obviously buying it yet, but we shall see.
I'm not buying into it either, but if they can get Zach Wilson to just be the 15th best quarterback in the league,
sure,
this team has a shot at making a run, because they have a great roster. Obviously, they stacked a bunch of people around Aaron Rodgers when they signed him. So if you can get Zach Wilson to be half of what Aaron Rodgers is, then you're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, and the story now, you already kind of covered it, but the penalties, I hate that that's the story, but it's unfortunate because, again, I kind of rewatched the condensed version because there was a phantom holding call against the Chiefs that brought back like a 15-20 yard play where I'm like, just because that didn't happen at the end of the game, it still is a huge play that got called back that was not a holding call, and then there was like 2 other calls that went against the Chiefs, and everybody's like, oh, the Chiefs get all the calls. It's like, well, That's not the case, you know.
I did find that funny because that was kind of the narrative at the end of the game from NFL Twitter was, oh, the refs gifted the Chiefs the game again. And
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, did you watch the game? They were bad all night.
Yeah, for both sides. And that's unfortunate because, believe it or not, non-Chiefs fans, it happens against the Chiefs too. It's like it absolutely happens, and it's still as frustrating it is to you, when the calls are going against your team. It still happens on both sides, and I don't know. All we can say is they got to clean it up. It really hasn't gotten better over the years. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but
We'll
uh,
absolutely see what happens there.
yeah.
I'm just going to cut to the chase on this next game, Tyler. The Titans beat the Bengals 27-3. What is wrong with the Cincinnati Bengals as they go to 1-3 after 4 weeks?
Yeah, I don't know if they need to bench Burrow and let him heal, or if it's one of those injuries where, because all I keep hearing is like, hey, it's the calf, it's a little sore. He hasn't re-aggravated it yet, but he's still running out of shotgun a whole bunch, and I don't know. They have no run game. They clearly can't throw it. They scored 3 points.
Yeah, for the second
That's
time this
scary.
season in 4 games, this is a
Right.
team that has Super Bowl aspirations, definitely has the talent on the roster to make a Super Bowl run, but you're 1-3. You have the Ravens that look really good. The Browns are looking decent, and you know, you're before you know it, you might be the odd man out in the AFC North, and that'd be tough. That'd be tough for the Bengals. Moving on to Bills and Dolphins. So this was kind of the game of the week. The Dolphins obviously hung 70 on the Denver Broncos a week prior. The Bills, after a not very good showing against the Jets, seems to be a theme. Bills have come out and they're winning football games comfortably, and Josh Allen has looked really good. And right now he is the MVP favorite, and he's been very efficient, not making a ton of mistakes in this game. The Buffalo Bills beat the Miami Dolphins 48-20. Josh Allen was 21 for 25, 320 yards and 4 touchdowns, and ended up not playing some of the second half because he didn't need to. And Tyler, are the Dolphins overrated? Or excuse me. Yeah, that's what I meant. Are the
Yeah.
Dolphins overrated, or are the Bills just also a really good team and gave the Miami Dolphins a slice of humble pie this week?
I don't know. That's I think the beauty of the NFL, quite honestly, because they go and just put the hammer on a bad Broncos team, 70 points, and then they got turned right back around and can only score 20, against, what I thought was, not as strong of a Bills team, but the Bills come out and take care of business against what everybody was like, oh man, the Dolphins are the team to beat, and the Bills are like, okay, whatever. We'll drop
This
48 on you like it's no big deal. Double
this
digit
is
points
I was thinking
in the fourth
about
quarter.
this. I was thinking about this yesterday. The Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins kind of remind me of the Chargers, what the Chargers are to the Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody wants to
Interesting.
speak the Dolphins into existence, but the Bills
Okay.
are just like, nah, we're good. We're just gonna keep playing really good football and just win the division. And that's kind of the vibe that I got during this game. Was it was a statement game by Buffalo of, you know, you guys keep saying our window is closing, but if you look at them, they still have a really good roster. It's not like it was a talent issue. It's everything that was kind of happening with the team was in the locker room, off the field. So maybe this was kind of their way of saying, we're good. Don't worry about us. Our
Mm.
window's still open.
That's what makes it so shocking is that, you're still talking about Tua and Tyreek. Mike McDaniels is, you know, I feel I totally hear what you're saying. I think you're right. But it's also like I feel like this group of guys are not going to Charger. And but here they are. You drop 70 and then could only score 20. I think the Bills obviously are showing they have a pretty good game plan and a really good defense. But that again goes back to the beauty of the NFL. I mean, the Cowboys scored 16 against the Cardinals, and then put away the Patriots 38-3.
Yeah, and to speak to that, I actually was really happy with the Dallas Cowboys for, having a dud against the Cardinals and then, having a revenge game or a get right game the following week and actually just destroying their opponent. And that's what you have to do if you want people to think that you're a good team. Are you going to let a bad loss define you as a team? Or are you going to be like, it happens. Let's move on to the next game. And that's exactly what Dallas did. Nobody's unless they just, cowboy it up a little bit down the season, nobody's going to talk about, oh, they lost to the Arizona Cardinals, because good teams lose to bad teams. It's the NFL. That's what happens. Cowboys do have a really big test coming up next week, though, against the 49ers, a team that they have lost to multiple seasons in a row in the postseason. So a lot riding on that for kind of what the NFL and what people in general will think of the Dallas Cowboys heading into the rest of the season.
Yeah, and with them, I still don't hold a lot of trust with the Cowboys. I mean, they could just keep doing this week after week, going back and forth. So
that's kind of some of the highlights of week 4 in the NFL. Next week is week 5. Jaguars, Bills play in London at 8:30 in the morning Central Time. Chiefs and Vikings. Chiefs go into Minnesota and take on the Vikings. And again, I just said it, but Sunday Night Football is going to be the Dallas Cowboys at the San Francisco 49ers. That's probably going to be the game to watch this week.
Yeah, I was going to say, with the Monday night game, going back to week 4, is Manningcast is the way to go. Because you got the Packers Raiders coming up on Monday, and I cannot suggest enough like how good the Manningcast is to watch. The guys that they bring on and just their take. I've been enjoying the hell out of it. I really didn't watch a whole lot late last season, and I'm so in on that. So especially on, if it's mediocre matchups or Packers Raiders, should be a fairly interesting game, but definitely suggest watching Manningcast.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I love Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, but I will agree that if the match is a dud, then just flip over to the Manningcast and have a little bit of fun with it. But that's week 4. That's a wrap. We will see you next week to cover week 5.